I'm going to try record to this computer.
Okay.
Okay, I'm recording. I heard something there. Was that the dog?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yeah. Greetings, magic mobbers. Welcome, boys and babes. It's the Magic Hour, a place where we navigate through life's peaks and valleys with all the vulnerability and shamelessness we can muster. With the help of world-class guests from all walks of life, we uncover new truths and valuable tools for manifesting our highest potential. I'm your host, Mercedes Terrell, along with my partner in shine, Jade Bryce.
Hey, you guys. So before we jump in, I wanted to mention that Mercedes and I have been so moved by the reviews that you guys are sending in. I mean, it really, really just means so much to us. And if everyone who is listening right now would just go and leave a review, it would make a huge impact on this show for us, because it would help people, it would help the show be seen for other people. And so you can actually do that while you're listening right now. You don't even have to stop. You don't even have to stop the show. Just go into our show page, leave a review for us. You can either just hit 5 stars, but it would really mean a lot to us if you would actually just type out a little comment. It really, really does go a long way, you guys, on iTunes. So please go do that for us right now.
Yeah, in this podcast venture Jade and I have going on, we both spend way too much time second guessing ourselves. So when someone can just reaffirm that we're doing something that's making a difference here, something as easy as sending a review like that is all it takes for us to really feel like you guys are getting what we're putting out there. So just truly means everything to us. Love you guys.
We're waves, you guys. Be there for us.
Our attachment styles are waves. We need all that love, that extra love.
All right. So I'm excited for today's guest because she is a skilled spiritual channeler and has actually written her 2 books via this channeling process. So I can't wait to find out how she has honed in on that skill and how spirit moves through her to create these texts. It's really cool stuff.
Yes, I am super interested to know how that all works, actually. I feel like this whole world of strengthening your intuition and psychic abilities is so new and unknown to me still, even though I've witnessed you hone some of these skills in yourself, Jade. And I don't even know, my husband all the time goes, how can we talk about psychic abilities without saying the word psychic? Because I think
of intuitive.
Yeah, and I say that to him, and he goes, well, all I ever think of is Miss Cleo. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh my God, I know. That's why, because, Boulder Psychic Institute, I always feel like I want to tell people I went to an intuitive institute.
Yeah.
So it's so weird saying, well, when I went to Boulder Psychic Institute, because then it sounds like Miss Cleo was my teacher, I know. Totally. But it's actually cool to know, that we all do have those similar capabilities, though. And it's all just a matter of tapping in and not numbing that down. Yeah. And actually, Mercedes, I've been meaning to bring up to you, I think I mentioned it briefly, but we didn't have time to get into it, that in my most recent ayahuasca ceremony just a few days ago, that I had a few visions of some of your past lives. And I have been able to, with a few of my friends, tap into their past lives. And so I knew that it was already something that I was able to see for people if it was useful for their healing. And useful for them to maybe recognize a pattern so that you're not like knowing what to do with it, but you're at least aware of it. Like, oh, there's a pattern here. And if I heal it in this lifetime, it won't carry on into my next.
I'm really, really interested in hearing what this is. Cause since you brought it up a while back, I was like, okay, I'm glad we're talking about it actually in real time on the show, because
I had
a good episode actually to talk
about. I had asked the medicine to help me step into being able to do readings for people. And I got a couple messages there. One of them was to not forget that this podcast is a source for healing. But I think it's one of the reasons why she took me on that journey to see some of your past lives. And the 2 that were the most prevalent in the journey. So the one that was farthest off in your past life.
Okay.
The one that was farthest past, was you were this like Egyptian pharaoh looking goddess. You had like all these gold, embellishments on you and like a belly dancer almost looking outfit. And it was really, really cool. But the thing that stood out about that life was that you had so much power. Like you had so much power and you could command anyone to do anything for you or get anything for you. And you were above even like most men in this, whatever, in this, I don't know what word to use. Yeah. In this region, I don't know. But men, you were definitely above men and you could command them to pretty much do anything for you. And it was just interesting because um, you had this like authority, but it was almost like you didn't. I think you being above men, you didn't have to let you weren't available for anyone to lead you, you know, and you were very, very like, you know, Cersei's such a bad reference because she's so evil, but almost like that hardcore of like, I can get exactly what I want. I don't need a damn man. Like, this is, I command this, you know, and it happens. So that was very, very much the vibe of that life. And
it definitely resonates with me. I mean, Cersei, not necessarily because she's sleeping with her brother and such, but
yeah. And
other
she's
than
just
that,
not
the
nice.
strong, the
You weren't mean, but you were firm as heck.
And
like,
not
very, very firm.
And not softening enough to let someone else help.
There was no softness whatsoever. And it was evident that you came from a bloodline of that. And so
I definitely do. Like even just thinking of my mom and my grandma, like the women in
well, in our past lives repeat, the patterns repeat until we want to change them, right? So there was that one. And then one of the most recent ones, and this one was a little bit foggier, but the most recent ones, you were some sort of director. And it was like, I couldn't tell if you were directing like a black and white film from like the 20s or something, or if you were directing some sort of theater group, but you were definitely a director, like in a director's chair. And you were directing everybody in front of you. And it was the same vibe though, of like, almost like Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada, just like, you didn't need anyone else. You didn't need anything you wanted. You could direct right in front of you. You could command right in front of you. And it was a little bit softer, but it was still very firm and stage left, stage right, you know? It was really, really interesting. And it was a very like you were over the men and you were the top position. No one was the leader above you. So it was really interesting. And I know there's so many different ways that you can take that. But I know that in this life, you are trying to tap into your feminine more. And that you feel all masculine and that you have trouble letting men lead. So I know that because you're working on that, then, you know, that pattern.
Hopefully it's part of my healing, whatever that pattern is. Or balancing. I think that's what I'm seeking most is balance, because I don't think that pattern, which does definitely that idea that you've seen in my past lives does definitely resonate with what's going on currently for me. So I'm going to sleep on that. I like it. I think that is useful though. Thank you for.
And we can talk more after we talk to our guest too, because I know she's ready to get on.
And I wonder what she has to say about that, if she has some insights on all that. So let's get her on.
Yes.
Please welcome a woman who's not only dancing delightedly in her own purpose with the work she does, but whose work is of helping others uncover their own unique ability to step into their highest selves and serve from that blissful platform. So cool. She's a soul guide, a shamanic healer, an inspirational speaker, and an extremely intuitive award-winning author who has channeled multiple books into reality. With over 20 years of experience in leading by inspiration, she has a special passion for empowering the women she mentors to be the artists of their own lives, to rewrite their story through inner transformation, connection to essence, remembrance of purpose, and realignment to authenticity and truth. Please welcome Kerri Hummingbird to the Magic Hour.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Oh, I love the vibe in here. I love it. The minute I came out, I was like, oh, I just want to sit here and listen to Jay. And then I was like, oh, but I really like Mercedes. Oh, this is fun.
Hi, Kerri.
I just love the conversation you guys are having. And to me, it's so uplifting that you're having it so, in my book, so young, because I'm like 50, you know?
Lord, you don't look it.
Yeah,
I'm young at heart.
For sure.
Yeah, I always think that too at plant medicine ceremonies when there's a 21-year-old. I'm always like, oh my God, you're starting the growth path so early. This is going to be so amazing for you. When you're 35, when you're my age, I want to see where you're at. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, my son is 19 and he is studying. He's in his first shamanic group 1-year program, and
Wow.
he's doing like seriously deep or intense work.
What is that
like
one called?
Power Path School of Shamanism.
I want to take it on in 2020. I've set my intention for it.
Oh yeah,
so if I can come up with the funds, I'm there. Yeah, the Power Path. That's so cool. That's so cool. They're in Austin soon. But Kerri, you have a really interesting story of what brought you through some awakenings up to this point, and some obstacles in the early years of your life kicked you off in the direction of the life you're currently living. What do you feel like are the lowlights and the highlights that brought you to today?
Wow. Well, the journey definitely has peaks and valleys, doesn't it? So I've had some valleys. I think the biggest valley that I had was the end of my former relationship. After 20 years of really trying to make it work and going to psychotherapy weekly for like 2 decades, trying to fix myself, and it's still not working. And it was a paradigm where it was the easy target. Like there are family systems. The family systems thing really resonates with me now. I can see it from this vantage point. Back then I would have just said, I can't do anything right and it's all my fault somehow. And even though I go to these weekly psychotherapy sessions, but now I see it's part of a bigger family system of like, some people don't want to cope with their stuff. And so it's easier to have one person be to blame for all of it. And it's not like I wasn't doing anything that needed fixing or that I needed to change, but it's just that the system kind of wanted one person. It was more convenient to have one person be the focal point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that reached the end of its lifetime span that I could tolerate it. And that was a hard point. Like leading up to that point was really tough because I was acting in ways that I would never have thought I would be acting. It's like I just started really acting out and doing things that I would have said I'm not that kind of person, and I was that kind of person. That was really hard. So that was a low light for sure. And also getting diagnoses. Like I got diagnoses throughout my life. Bipolar when I was really young, they didn't put it on the record. Manic depressive. That was like I had big highs and lows with my emotions and stuff like that. But then the big one was borderline personality. That was at 38. I was like, what? Like that means you're definitely screwed up. Like that's the way I felt. So that was a big low point for me. And that catalyzed, though, the next part of my journey, which has been the last 8, almost 9 years of like amazing stuff. Like once I stopped worrying about fixing myself, I just said, well, I'm just going to discover myself instead, like figure out what I really am about. That's when everything changed, and I got the support and the teachers I needed to make the transformation. Heather Ashamara being one of my teachers, Warrior Goddess. I know you guys know her.
Yes, we love her. One of our very first guests.
Yeah, she's amazing. And so that process really led me to discover myself, things that I always kind of knew about myself, but I was trying to be someone I wasn't. I know that sounds so like common, but that's kind of what it was. I was trying to be someone I wasn't, and I wasn't really opening to who I am. Yeah. And it's only really now, like today, as I stand here today, I'm like really accepting who I am. And I know some people think I'm goofy, or some people will say things about me like you're just way too Pollyanna, or you're too happy, or you're too, but you know what? Like I own that. It's fine. Like somebody's got to hold down the corner on happy and unicorns and rainbows. Okay. So I'm happy to be that person.
For sure.
That resonates with me for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of the time, of course, we can all be bummed out. But I mean, when you're the person who's trying to constantly be an optimist, it can piss people off when they're trying to live in a sad place right now. And that's part of their journey that I do think has to be respected as well. But it doesn't mean you have to live in that with them. So that's huge. But I think all of us are trying to one degree or another, own who we really are. I think that's what we hope to do. We don't maybe even realize that that's what our hopes are yet, but that's the direction that we all need to move in, because that's the only one that's going to keep us ultimately happy 24/7.
Absolutely. I just had a great conversation with Heather Ash on my show, Soul Nectar Show, about competition and like comparison. And I think for women especially, like this was a piece that kept me stuck for a long time, because I kept comparing myself to other people and their lives, and then trying to make my life sort of match that in order to have success. And I was with a partner at the time who was the same. And that contributed a lot of problems, because my inner natural way of being is just who I am. And if you go against that, like as I found as I started going against myself, it didn't make it any better, and trying to fix myself to be something I wasn't didn't help. And comparing yourself to others isn't really helpful either. You know, even on this path, the last 8 or 9 years I've been doing it, it's been a lot of like looking outside to go, okay, what is this supposed to look like? And then I've had to come back in and go, it doesn't look like any of that. It looks like this.
And it's okay to go around turn the corner and go, oh man, I got to start over. I'm not where I thought this was going to lead. It's okay. I think that's a big part of this journey that everyone's taking too, is finding out that you're going the wrong direction doesn't mean that turning a new direction is starting from scratch. It means you're going to hone down on exactly where you need to be much quicker when you continue to redirect when that comes up for you.
You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to redirect. I mean, I completely reinvented myself. I didn't even know what Kerri Hummingbird was 8 years ago. I made a vision board. A hummingbird went on there. I was like, I'm Kerri Hummingbird. I don't even know what that means. And I would even ask myself, I'd be like, well, what would Kerri Hummingbird do right now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what that means, but it was real for me.
So this is really your work as a soul guide. So I think that's a really beautiful gift you have, being able to bring that up in other people, finding out what they should be moving towards. So maybe you can describe for us and our listening audience what a soul guide is and what you do in your work.
I get to open a magical door for people, and they get to crash the threshold, and then they get to experience the divine interacting with them in every moment, bringing them lessons and bringing them mystical experiences and magical, like so much incredible stuff happens that before was probably happening, but they weren't paying attention to it. But when they do the work with me, or when they pick another guide, when you actually decide, I'm going to interact and I'm going to listen, I'm going to like go along this soul journey, you notice it. And that like opens everything. I mean, it's amazing. I know you guys have experienced this because you know what I'm talking about. It's like all these little subtleties that you overlooked previously, now you see these are magical messages. This is like a connection. This is a direction. This is important. So I just help people to uncover it, reveal it, keep themselves clear, keep themselves aware and present. I teach discernment, and I teach a bunch of earth-based spirituality to help people get grounded and present and clear, so they can notice these things and then decipher them, because you do have to decipher it.
Right. How does that work exactly? How does the process of somebody comes to you and says, hey, I really think it's that time in my life where I have come to a point I want to figure out what I'm most passionate about, where my bliss lies, and how I can embody that in all the work I do, how I can feel of service on this planet?
Well, the way that it works with me is that I have channeled a course called Reinvent Yourself, and it's in 3 modules, and it's basically an awakening process. So we go from caterpillar got to make it safe to do this work. Otherwise the inner bits are not going to go along. Then we go into Jenga where we take apart the structures. We start pulling out the bottom pieces and the foundation. Things get a little wobbly. And then we go into the reinvention part. Like this is the tuning into that innate design. And the innate design that you are is the thing that you're inspired to be anyway. So it's one and the same. So you can either go at it like what I really desire to be and then come around and get there, or you can open up to like what I call the spirit of death, release everything you think you are, and then let God, source, great spirit, your higher self show you who you are.
Okay. So I gotta stop you there. So we have a beautifully eclectic group of listeners who some can hang with the more I call it woo-woo words that we're talking about here, which I love and I'm with you. But if we're talking to, Joe Schmo, who has not thought much about inner reflection and this type of work, I guess what's the definition of a soul guide for that person?
For that person. So
sorry, Joe Schmo, I don't mean to.
Yeah.
I'm not shitting on you.
So the person that thinks that they are just a body.
Yeah.
The person that thinks that they are just a body, I challenge them to try something new outside the box that pushes their comfort zone, because that's where the juice starts to happen. On the other side of the comfort zone, the stuff you don't know what's going to happen next is the potential that you'll have a realization of something bigger than what you thought was possible. So for example, I lead fire walks. So people that are like, Joe, I don't believe in any of this. Fire walk is a really great opportunity, the way that I do it anyway, to uncover that there's something bigger that's happening than you and your body. And drum journey meditation is another thing that I do, because the drum journey brings people out of the alpha state, out of the beta state of their brain where they are in control, and into alpha theta states where their soul is in control. And then you start to become aware of a whole new magical side of life. And that's the one that we're all aware of. Like Jade, I know, is aware of it, and you're aware of it, that we can bring that magical drum journey state into our living, waking dream of life as we walk around on the planet. And Joe, that doesn't believe any of this, isn't having that experience because he's convinced he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. And I might just invite, Joe or anyone listening that is going, whoa, this is I don't even know what's being talked about here. I'm not, I'm tuning out because this isn't on my interest list or whatever. I'd invite you to just be open to hearing out this conversation and then just start there. Pull some of the items here or the things that sound interesting or you might want to investigate more and just start researching them. Find a book on it, find another podcast that talks about it until you feel a little more comfortable with it, because I think that's where this journey really starts is figuring out for yourself how you can be comfortable with being open enough to dive into other realms, because there's so much of life to be experienced. I think that's really what your work is allowing people to step into, is the more that life has to offer.
Yeah, the more. And I actually, my new book, The Second Wave, is in the agnostic category for a reason. Because people that are agnostic are saying, I'm not really sure what I believe, but I'm going to figure it out on my own. I'm going to go that journey and experiment and see what's up. And that's exactly what this path is. It's just taking an experiment one day at a time, trying something new, pushing your boundaries, seeing what happens.
I love that.
I'm curious because a lot of people, they hear fire walk and it sounds so absurd to them. So I'm curious, is it something where people set an intention and then they walk that fire and how does that play out?
So some people might be more familiar with firewalk in terms of like Tony Robbins. And in that context, it's very much about motivation. In my context, it's not so much about motivation as it is about understanding energy. Because the fire has a certain amount of energy and you have a certain amount of energy. And it's a good metaphor for like every challenge in your life. You're approaching, like say writing my new book, that's a challenge. It has a certain amount of energy to it. If I don't have as much or more energy than that project, then I'm not going to be able to complete it. I won't be able to get off the ground, or I won't be able to get all the way through it. It'll get thick and dense. So the fire walk for me is an opportunity to teach people about the relationship between themselves and every challenge they have in their life through the metaphor of the fire. And you can realize that you're creating the challenge. That's one way to change the energy balance in a challenge. You can realize you're creating it with your mental stories. So that's a good teaching about mindfulness. You can also realize that you can raise up energy. Like if you have your favorite song and you sing your favorite song, even if you were kind of dumpy before, like, and then you sing your favorite song, you're super happy, right? And you have a lot more energy. That's another lesson in energy management. So I like to teach people about energy and about mindfulness and about how to plant a seed in the quantum field. Like this is quantum physics, how to actually manifest something through the metaphor of the firewalk, because we plant those seeds, we set those intentions, we do it with fire, which is a powerful force. And then in the weeks following the firewalk, stuff unlocks in people's lives. So they get that after benefit, right? They get these teachings all packed into one construct.
It's certainly a form of medicine. And on this podcast, we talk a lot about plant medicine because Jade is kind of on a journey experiencing that now. So I feel like that is really in alignment with that. You know, you open yourself to this experience, you go take it on head on, you take the challenge on, and what comes from it, because you're challenging yourself and you're asking yourself to do something out of the box, is all these teachings that you're talking about, all this stuff that comes up when we put ourselves in a situation that is uncomfortable, essentially. Like
plant medicine, like what Jade is doing, and I've done this as well. I love plant medicine for this reason, because one of the reasons I was on the couch, every single week for 20 years is because I had a super active mind that liked to tell a lot of stories.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have super active minds that like to tell a lot of stories.
Yeah.
And your whole reality gets created from the stories you're telling.
Usually right before they're falling asleep, right?
Right. Yeah. So you realize this at some point in your life. You realize, wow, I made this whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you sure did. So if you want to make something up that's better and more pleasant, then you need to learn how to navigate your inner structures. You need to learn how to navigate this inner realm, the mind, the heart. Your body's telling you things all the time. You probably ignore it, or you take an Advil, like you've got to start exploring it rather than numbing out from it and distracting from it. And that's exactly what plant medicine does. It takes you right into yourself where you cannot help but face it.
Yeah.
You gotta look at it.
Yeah, you worded that perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it for that reason, because it gets through. I feel like people have this crust that gets developed around their heart, like this thick, crusty substance. And if you're doing plant medicine, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's like this crust of egoic stuff, like personality crust that gets around everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do plant medicine, it like sloughs off a layer, just like a loofah. And you're like, wow, like you feel brand new. Like, I think I know myself now, or I know myself in a better way because that crust is off.
The very first thing I feel on any plant medicine, before I even think the medicine has kicked in, which of course it has, but I always think I'm not feeling anything yet, is fire in my heart and my heart opening. And then it becomes one with whichever direction my journey is going. But I always think like, oh man, this medicine's slow tonight. And then it's already so on.
Already working. Yeah.
So we have a question from our magic mob. Serena asks, she says, I've heard you define success in a way that really spoke to me. You said, I define success as no matter what is happening in my environment, I can maintain a sense of neutrality and hopefully a sense of joy. I like to feel successful by having mastery over myself. Her question is, have you mastered this in your own life, and how do you continue to sharpen this skill?
I feel like that's so related to what we were just talking about with
such a good. Yeah, it's a really good question. So, have I mastered this? No, I'm still here. I would have mastered it when I'm not here anymore and I've ascended the earthly plane. But I am here. So no, I'm still working on it. We're all working on it. That's the truth. We don't have any messiahs on the planet at this time. We are all in the trenches together, elevating the consciousness together through self-mastery and the teachings. So for me, how do I keep going? A daily practice. I am a bit relentless. So I will say I would give a plug out for anybody out there who's compulsive.
Mm.
Like, put that compulsivity towards your spirituality. You will excel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think addictive tendencies you can transfer over in an unhealthy way, even to spirituality too. But if you can use some of that, whatever that is that keeps you really going back for something, you can apply that to inner work, into spirituality. I think there is a healthy balance that can be found there. And it is a something that we all have in us, the ability to cling and be addicted and go back and motivate ourselves to continue to go back to something and create a practice. So
Yeah, well, we get these little lifts. So, like, you'll have a plant medicine ceremony, for example, and you'll get ascended. You'll get a lift. You'll get a new insight. You'll get clear of some of the crust. You'll feel amazing. Now, the work is to get back there in your daily life without needing the plant. That's the work.
mm-hmm.
And that is self-mastery. So what is it? It's discernment. It's awareness. It's practice. It's energy maintenance. It's grounding, to the earth, really being connected to the earth. It's meditation, being quiet with yourself and navigating the inner realms just like you do on the plant medicine. So it's like bringing the ceremony that you had back into your life and really embodying it every single day. That is the mastery. And that's how you excel. That's how you take these transcendental experiences and bring them back into your life to help you elevate your consciousness. It's powerful.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And I love the fact that you brought up at a point you don't need these external things that you might think you need in order to trigger the thing and to do the work or to whatever it is to sort through your stuff.
Yeah, I know plenty of people. My best friend, Tom Shadyac, who has never done plant medicine, and he does the freaking work.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it doesn't always have to be.
But he definitely sits with himself.
Definitely
sits with questions and then questions those questions and goes down that rabbit hole. And I don't think, I would never should on anyone who's, as long as they're finding a way to do that work, fucking do it. Like, I'm all for it. Just do it. And that's the part of the journey you're on, all for it. As long as you're progressing and you feel like you're moving forward and to a better place with it, you're raising the vibration on this planet. I'm happy about you. I'm glad to share this planet with you. It's all to the good. So do you, Kerri, have anything that you practice or use in a daily routine that helps you stay at your best?
Yeah, well, I do every morning. I open sacred space, so I call in the four directions. I call in the south, the west, the north.
My shamans have taught me this.
It's powerful. Like, I did it by rote for a long time because I learned it from my first school, which was the Four Winds with Alberto Vialdo, and they teach you how to open sacred space. And so I learned it there. But when I started studying with Jose and Lena Stevens in the Power Path,
that's the Transforming Your Dragons.
That's when I'm
reading that.
I'm really, my intention is 2020 to be in the Power Path. So, yeah,
get in. It's
but
amazing.
Tell us what you do.
It's like I learned. What I did was they have a very good grasp with the energy of the four directions and the guides. So it was visceral for me when I started working with them. I could actually feel the winds of the south when they called it in. And I thought, whoa, I'm calling to something. Oh, I just was saying it. I didn't have a relationship. And they brought to me with the relationship. And so now I have a relationship. So now when I open sacred space for others, I get to gift them that same thing because they go, oh, wow, I felt it. I never felt that before. So this is the exciting thing. It's like the love virus gets spread, So I always have my clients and students open sacred space as the first practice every single day because life goes much more smoothly when you're inviting that which is bigger than you to guide you through it rather than you from your personality self thinking what needs to happen today, even beyond meditation.
Can you tell us though, so because I do something similar every morning, but can you walk us through kind of what that looks like, what you do in the morning?
Yeah, do you want me to do it?
Sure.
Right
Or
now.
is it, how long is it?
Well, I don't know. We can just do a quick one. Want me to do a quick one?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do a quick one. This is not the big one. This is a quick one.
Okay.
Okay, so I welcome the winds of the South to come into this broadcast and surround every person listening with that feeling and that vibration of total love and total support and connection and community, and knowing that you're present on the planet with all of us, feeling that container come in. Welcoming the winds of the West with your wisdom and your discernment to help us see in our shadows just a little bit bigger, so we can really know ourselves in the things that we hide from ourselves. We can see it and make a new choice. We welcome you, winds of the West. We welcome the winds of the North, the place of our ancestors and our guides. We welcome all the ancestors and all the guides of all the people listening to come and share with us a message. We welcome you, winds of the North, to really help us to know ourselves more fully in our authentic self. We welcome the winds of the East for that new dawn, that new day, and that new potential that we didn't even know was possible. We welcome that. We welcome that opening. We welcome the earth below, Pachamama, Mother Gaia, all the support, the mountains, the rivers, the trees, the stones, the animals, the plants, the birds, Mariposa, butterfly for transformation. And we welcome the stars, the sun, and the moon above for all that light from the star nations. And we welcome the Great Spirit.
I love that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I can see you with your rattle.
Yeah,
I do with my rattle.
I have a shamanic rattle that I can see you with
you were doing that for us, Kerri, it actually brought up this memory for me of when I was young, really young. My mom used to bring myself and my sisters out into this field that we lived on this kind of big farm, and there's a big field. She'd bring us out there from time to time, and we didn't know what we were doing. We were little kids, but she would tell us to call the winds essentially of southeast, northwest, and we would stand out in the field. We'd have four corners basically, and we'd go out there and call to and say things like what you're saying here. And as a kid, who knows what I came up with then, but then that also triggered a thread that I noticed in my life. It reminds me of my favorite movie, which is The Fifth Element. And she is the woman in the movie, is the fifth element. And she's the whole way they activate this thing to save the planet, essentially, and save all of these earthlings, is to call the different elements into play and ask for all the goodness that is available on this planet and the universe, all these strengths that come from all the corners, all the elements to activate, to help us remember, I guess.
And you're supposed to close it in the north, right? You close it off in the north, or no?
Well, it depends on the tradition. So like I've been trained by South American indigenous teachings, and so we open with the South.
Oh,
if
I've always heard
North
people
American,
open with the East.
You'll often open with the East.
Oh, okay, yeah,
good catch.
I always wondered why, because you just think northeast, southwest, so you start in the north, but I always hear people start in the East.
Yeah, a lot of times North American indigenous people will start in the East, and then through my tradition, we start in the South. So, whatever way you do it. The Kara shamans once told me it didn't even matter what direction you're facing. It's like, it's all the same.
Right. Call them all.
That's funny.
Humans, we really want to have a structure to it.
We really do.
We did it right.
We do.
We do.
Our iPhone compass out.
Yeah, but I encourage people to do it, like practice it themselves and just speak from your heart. Like feel the energy, feel the presence, and speak from your heart to the presence, like you're talking to a friend. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. And you also have a shamanic drum journey that you can speak on, right? Yeah.
Tell us
about that.
We know you're
I want a shamanic drum so bad. They're a little pricey, but I want one.
This is something you're taking on tour with you with your book tour, right?
Yes.
And you are teaching people around the world.
Yeah. So what I'm meant to do is they told me I'm a door opener. So I open the door. That's what I do.
Okay.
So the drum opens the door and takes people on a journey, and it takes people on a journey to another realm, where in shamanic sense, when we take a drum journey, what we're really doing is we're leveraging the beating of the drum to bring us out of beta mind and into alpha or theta state where we can lucid dream, because the lucid dreaming is what brings your soul in, because your soul works through the language of imagination, visuals, and all that kind of stuff. So that's where you get your messages from. So the drum actually activates that. And then I guide people. It's just part of what I'm meant to do. Not everybody does it this way. People do it all different ways. I guide people on a journey through their heart and down to the lower world. There's 3 worlds: middle, lower, middle, upper. We go to the lower world, and then we end up going to Asangate in Peru, which is a holy mountain, and it has the Rainbow Lagoon up there. It's a power center. And so I bring people there for healing, and then to take a journey with their guides wherever they need to go, and then I bring them back when they're done. So it's very awesome, because people in the journey circles, like I've got one tomorrow night here at my house, they already see what I'm going to say, even if they've never done it before. I'll bring a jaguar in, they'll see the jaguar before I even say it. A lot of times it's already there. They are seeing psychically. So I think this is sort of like and I think in medicine journeys, when you do medicine journeys, you sort of realize that we're all connected consciously. We're in a conscious bubble together. And what one person's thinking, everybody's knowing.
20 people can be in a room and 8 people see the same exact thing. And the next morning you're like,
how did we do that?
We all saw the same thing. How? Yeah.
And that's what this is. This is psychic connection, psychic group consciousness connection. And that's happening in my drum circle with no medicine. So it's amazing to me that it's happening, and it happens for people all the time when I do these journeys. I'm not special in this way. It's just that that's one of my gifts. And a lot of other people can do it too, and definitely on plant medicine. So it's very cool.
I love that.
Cool. Yeah. So there's a few short questions we like to ask everyone who comes on the show. First off, if you could hug your younger self right now, what would you say?
I would hug her, and I would tell her that she's safe, and I'm protecting her the whole way through it.
How come you
always there?
That?
Yeah.
Why do you think you needed to hear that then?
Because I had a lot of difficult things, 0 to 5, super challenging. And then throughout my life, as we all experience these bumps. And I needed to know that I had a light around me, that I was always being held and I was always safe, no matter what was happening around me. When I was 1.5 to 5, we lived with my first stepfather, and he was a violent drunk. I mean, I witnessed him almost try to throw my mother off the 2nd-story balcony of our apartment, amongst other beatings that he would do. If I
went through the same thing at the same age.
It's hard because it gets right into the framework of your mind, your structures, your Jenga structure I was talking about. So some of the pieces we have to pull out of the Jenga structure are, it's not safe. If I speak up, I'm going to get in trouble, and then someone's going to get hurt. These things have to be taken out, but they can't just be yanked out. They take time. So one of the things I do with clients is I bring them back to their little children, because there is no time. It's sort of an illusion that we construct. So time is fluid, if you want to talk about it that way. So we can go back, we can recapitulate, which is an ancient Toltec practice. We can recapitulate back to our childhood, and we can be that loving force around our inner child, and we can do healing with our inner child even. And that healing ripples forth. I think it creates like a whole new timeline. So that's the work we're doing on the planet right now. We're doing ancestral healing, and we're doing child healing, because we have the technology to do it.
And we have all these predispositions that make up who we are in this moment that are fluid. I love that you say that. We talk about this podcast being our living journal, and living being something that, or we also say liquid truth, kind of the same essence of it can change. It's not rock solid. Everything can change. You can change the way you think about things. Every moment you decide to think a new thought, or, stay thinking the same old thought that you've patterned in from old past, childhood trauma, or like you're saying, even past lives or whatever it is, you have the choice to change. So it is very empowering to think of it in that way.
Yeah, and you can do healing on yourself, like back through time. I mean, I've done a lot of that work on my journey to heal. It's like going back and just clear whatever. I don't even need to know the story behind it. Just clear all the shadows out of my 1-year-old, clear them all out of my 2-year-old. Just gone right up.
Yeah. That's really powerful. I've gained some tools through, we were just talking about through Boulder Psychic Institute to do the same. It's been really powerful. Yeah. Um, if you could have the whole world read one book, what would it be?
The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Oh, okay. We've had
That,
well,
yeah.
Heather asked, so.
Does everybody read that book? Just
Yeah.
please. I think it should be like in second or third grade
I'm still
curriculum.
mastering not taking, oh my God, can you imagine? I'm still mastering not taking it personal. That's the hardest one, I feel.
I think putting the agreements on your fridge. We had Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. on, and of course that's
amazing.
And Heather S. Shamara also is a
Mhm.
big practitioner of that Toltec wisdom.
She said the same book for her answer, so.
And it's true. I mean, it's such just these staple basics that if we could figure out how to really apply to our everyday thinking and lives, we would definitely improve our own lives amongst everybody else around us.
Well, if I can offer something, Jade, on that, not taking it personally. That's one of the things, the messages that came through my new book is I find very helpful, is the bigger perspective of coming in to do healing on the planet as a soul and making that choice. And so if you're going to make that choice, are you going to come into an easy lifetime where there's not a whole lot to dig into? Or are you going to come in to an embodiment where you are going to experience a lot of strains of human suffering so that you will be compelled from the inside out to heal it and thereby be of service? You feel that shift? So you are now don't have to take it personally that your life was the way it was because you intended it to be that. It was like your classroom. Like each one of us sets up a classroom for ourselves and then designs this like thumbprint suit with this unique thumbprint design and puts a thumbprint right on it too so we don't forget, and then embodies it and comes in and like starts living it. And even if you got earth amnesia, you're still doing the work. You don't have to remember. It's built in. So if you can, that's what really helps me. It helps me to go, you know what? I signed up for that because I needed to do big healing on the planet. And it's important. And I've done the work, even if I had amnesia for like the first 40 some odd years of the journey. It's okay. We still did the work. And now we get to have the fun time. Like, I really believe that's what's happening now. We're opening up the fun portal.
Yeah.
Gosh, I hope so.
Yeah, we are making it so. It is so.
All right. If you could whisper one phrase to everyone on the planet, what would it be?
Relax. Just relax. You're not doing it wrong. You can't do it wrong. You're in Earth School. You're learning your lessons. You may not like the lessons.
Yeah.
But you're okay and you can't do it wrong. Just, keep going, open your heart.
I really like that.
Yeah, I need to hear that often.
As a single mother, that's a really good message. Yeah.
We can take so much responsibility on our shoulders, especially as a single mom. I've been there. And that sense of responsibility. And I'll tell you, I just had a recent plant journey ceremony where I used a different plant medicine that I'd been using, and it got around my egoic self. And I had this beautiful conversation with my soul. And he said, that's my responsibility. That's not yours. It's mine. So we take the actions guided by our souls, but we don't have to carry the burden. It's not about that. It's about having the experience. We're too small to carry that. Personality, way too small.
You said he said.
Yes, he said that. Yeah.
Was it Grandfather Huachuma or?
No, my guide, my soul guide in this lifetime is White Eagle.
White Eagle. Oh, cool.
So that's what he told me. He's beautiful. If you haven't seen a picture of him, he's Native American man, and he's just got the most kind, loving, gentle eyes and heart. And he's been my guide for quite a while now. And I've known it, but I haven't known it until I had the big reveal. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I really know it.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
I
think
love
just
this,
relax
Kerri.
and be gentle. Relax and be, Heather Ashamara talks about this with the spiritual judge.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the more we get on the spiritual path, it's almost like then we judge ourselves for failing or not doing it right or not doing as good a job as we know better, and we can have even more sense of responsibility that we can't screw it up. And now you guys are radio show hosts, so now you really even have more of a responsibility, and you feel like, gosh, I really can't screw this up because people are listening, and what if I make a mistake, or I'm not the best person and they see me in that light, and then there's all these things that go through our minds. But so just remember, you are a soul in a messy human experience that's designed to be messy so that you'll bump up against other people and have lessons. It's part of the design.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
and the universe is going to give us whatever it is we need to
We're so
grow.
afraid of losing something all the time.
We really are.
Afraid of not being wanted, and I guess that's a loss in itself too. Last night we were podcasting and we had a conversation about white privilege and how messy that conversation is going to be. You know, you're always going to be afraid as a white person having the conversation because you're afraid of coming off racist. You're afraid of the loss that comes with that, you know, in essence. But the reality is that we have to have the conversation, even if it's messy, because otherwise we're never going to get anywhere. We're going to actually
we have to have the conversation. We can't ignore it anymore. A lot of people that have gotten think of themselves as light workers or more ascended, and you start to get on this path and you start to be able to discern different energies, and you're like, oh, this energy is lighter. And you say, oh, that energy is good. Right. And this energy is denser. And oh, that energy is bad. And if I don't want bad energy, I don't want negative energy, I'm going to put it outside my box because I don't want to deal with that. But we're not here to put that energy outside the box. We're here to open our arms around all of it. Every little last bit of that nasty, toxic sludge that we all created together as humanity. We're meant to wrap our arms around it and say, you know what? This too was created by us, and I take responsibility to love it. I take responsibility to open my soul up to bring divine light down into that toxic sludge. That's what I'm here to do. And my physical self might not like it, might feel really uncomfortable with it, but it's going to pass. And as we reconnect the streams, and as we reconnect all these different streams where we built walls between things like this is good and preferred and this is not, as we reconnect the stream and we bring presence to it, the whole thing clears, the whole system clears, our personal life, our collective life. So we've got to reconnect all the streams together, every single one that we've cordoned off.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I love that, Kerri. Thank you for all this wisdom. So much to pack in into
it really is,
into a small
I know our listeners are going to have all kinds of questions and want to know more about it. So where can people go to find you and your works online on the interwebs and such?
So my website is kerrihummingbird.com, which is Kerri, hummingbird.com. So they can certainly go there. And if they're really feeling pulled by the second wave that talk about, you know, maybe you didn't really belong here, but you're here. That feeling of like, I'm not sure I fit into this place. Right. That feeling. Yeah. If you're having that feeling, then you might want to go look up the book. And the website is www.thesecondwave.media. .media, because I couldn't get .com.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
Secondwave.media.
I think, finding that unique cocktail of modalities for increasing our consciousness and for healing ourselves is absolutely key. And we all have a different way to become more conscious and to be healed. So I just want to say to you, Kerri, thank you for helping people to find what works best for them and for making that such a big part of your work and what you do. I really do think that the world's a better place because you're in it. And so thank you so much for coming on our show today and sharing that with us and being such a light.
Thank you. And Mercedes and Jade, I just want to say I have total hope because You guys are coming up and it's amazing. The energy, like I told you when I got in here, I was like, yes, this feels like home. The cavalry is here. Like I really feel like the cavalry has arrived, like we are going to do this together. I'm so grateful you're here and you're beautiful, each one of you, inside and out. And I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kerri.
Thank you. And you're in Austin, right, Kerri?
I am.
Okay. I'll have to, I'll message you and have you over soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's get together.
We'll drum.
Yes, let's drum.
We'll drum and rattle.
Kerri, what is your background? It's amazing.
My whole background?
Behind
the
you.
whole spectrum?
The behind you.
I'm like, what? We're going to go there?
My 23andMe?
Yeah. No, we're done with the show now. What's that? That's amazing. Yeah.
This is my butterfly screen from at home.
Oh.
Check that out. See, this way, because I work out in the open,
a wall. Mm-hmm.
My house has got 6 people living where there used to be 3.
Oh, wow. What area are you in?
I live in Cedar Park, Texas.
Oh, okay. I'm in Oak Hill.
Where's that?
Oak Hill is right when the Y splits. 71 and
that
going towards Red Hawk Ranch.
I know where that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing an event on Sunday, actually, the 28th, for the second wave. I'm doing a drum journey.
Oh, cool. Where at?
It's going to be there's going to be one south at Lotus Bend Sanctuary at 6.
I like them on Facebook, so I probably have seen the event. I don't get much freedom to leave the house, but I'll look it up and see if I.
How old is
3 and 4?
3 and 4, yes.
And they sleep 7 to 7, so I don't get out much, but my mom is in town on Sunday, so if I can get out.
Yeah, if you can, then I get to meet you in person.
I've always wanted to go to Lotus Bend, so.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It'll be getting dark. It won't be totally dark if you were able to come. 6 o'clock is when it starts, so you could get there by 5:30. They've got like a labyrinth, and I mean, the whole community is coming together to build all of these.
John Burgess has invited me there.
It's gorgeous there, and it has chakras. They built chakra system into the land.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It was amazing. And then when I went to go do my firewalks there, it was just by kismet, of course. My other spot fell apart 3 days before a firewalk. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I was like, open to spirit. So then I got a connection, and my husband's like, I think you should call Renee. And so we called Renee, and Renee had the spot. So we get down there and I look and I go, oh my gosh, the perfect spot.
Yeah.
It's connecting the sacral chakra with the will center.
Wow.
What? And that's what the firewalk does.
Made for you.
I was like,
that's
man,
so cool.
This is my home.
Yeah.
So it's my firewalk home.
I always miss out on the cool stuff in Austin. I'm over here in California.
Well, we're going to have an event.
Where are you in California?
I'm in Orange County in Costa Mesa, if you know.
But we're going to have a live event in Austin, maybe at Lotus Bend, because I'm looking for a venue. But it'll be most likely September 14th, possibly the 15th. And so since you're local, we'll likely air your episode around then to help promote it. We'll probably plug it into the show. So, I'll message you, and then we'll make sure that you have the information of that event too.
Yeah, let me know about that event. And then I am going to be out in California, in Southern California, because the book tour is leading me there.
Nice.
To that kind of area you're in. So I'll connect with you and let you know about it. I'm excited. I'm happy to collaborate on stuff, because this is all, this time's all about collaboration. We just bring each other's gifts in. It's just fun. So fun. Yeah, it's a big party. It's an awakening party.
Awesome. So cool. Thank you so much, Kerri.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah. And when do you guys want to do yours? Do you want to?
So we're recording on our show like 3 episodes a week right now, trying to catch up because we don't have any we took a big break because I moved twice in 1 month and all that. So our schedule's super thin right now. So if we could possibly do the end of August,
absolutely.
I know that's a ways off, but
no, that's fine.
So when we get closer to then and we know our schedule, I'll message you then, because by then we'll be caught up on the show.
And I can even schedule it to go out to promote your event.
That would be amazing. Okay, let's plan on that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Thank you
All
so
right, good.
much, Kerri.
Yeah,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Kerri.
Like I said, you guys, your energy is freaking
Thank
awesome.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Oh,
So is yours.
okay.
We'll
We're
talk to you
tired
soon.
tonight, so I'm glad to
Yeah,
hear
we're
it's
really tired.
natural.
I was like, don't channel me today of all days.
I started my
You're
period.
like,
I'm
how
like,
much are we gonna? Yeah, I don't channel the same way that I was doing some channeling there. I'm just listening to what he wants me to say, but
Mhm.
my guide, but I don't do that like
Selig.
sounds and
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah, the
And
Paul Selig.
yeah,
Mhm.
Paul Selig, and then I don't do sounds. Like other people channel sounds and they're like these weird languages and stuff. That's not me. I don't do that. I'm
Yeah.
not built that way. So at least not yet. So
Yeah. Yet. I love the
I'll
word.
leave it open if it's gonna.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well,
All right.
I'll sign off then, so you guys can do what you need to do.
Okay.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you soon, Kerri.
Bye.
Bye. Let's see. Okay.
All
All right.
right.
Let's act like she just got off. I'm going to leave a note here.
You're so funny that you always say, let's act like she just got off.
Kerri notes. John, please end guest recording right before. Oh my God. Predicted text just doesn't ever help.
I know.
Right before asks her background.
Also, if you want to put it here or maybe at the very end, when you asked her the question about fire walking, Daisy was like the whole time in the background, and we didn't talk about
the kids screaming outside were giving Daisy anxiety.
Yeah, so you'll just need to re-say that question. It's the only time I really heard her. But
okay, so I'll do that at the very end. So okay, let's go ahead and
cool. She was really, I think there's so much interesting stuff in there, and I really hope that the people listening who I guess who it's a little deeper into this whole, like I was saying in the beginning of this podcast, really, it's this whole intuition and opening that door to the ability to be more intuitive is a deep, sometimes, scary ask of oneself.
It really is, yeah.
And so, and Kerri's obviously done a lot of work in that direction. But I hope that people listening see the value in that and are open to hearing that out and then seeing how they can apply it to their lives and explore it more. Whatever direction you feel drawn, take it that way and just start there. That's all I have to say about that. Yeah. Yeah. Great though. So what about your magic trick today, Jade? What do you got for me?
So this is probably one of the, I've done some really weird magic tricks, but this is one of the weirder ones, but this episode was pretty weird,
we can go there. We can handle it.
If I'm going to do it, I might as well do it now. So my magic trick is to utilize the full moon. And I know there's a bunch of history behind the full moon, especially among Native American cultures and all that. I'm not going to go there because there's just so much to dig up. And also, I just want to talk about, because I don't, without even knowing the history there, I'm still able to really feel some messages from the moon and use it to set some intentions each month. But I do know, I'm not into horoscopes. I don't know what a Sagittarius, I'm a Sagittarius, but I don't know what that means. I'm not into that stuff, but I do know that each month the moon falls in Capricorn, it falls in Leo, it falls in Sagittarius, whatever. And you can look up what that signifies. And it can be really, really useful in just finding a different way to look within and ask yourself a question and set a new intention every month. And so this last one, the full moon's message or theme was that old things burn away so that new things can come, that old things die so that new things can be rebirthed, that they can be born, and to kind of let things crumble. Like, we're so afraid sometimes to let go of things, but to let go so that something new and better can come and make way, right? So that was the theme. And I really, really liked that. And what I did, nobody has to do this, but it was fun. So I'd invite you to try it out. You don't have to tell anyone you did it.
What you did. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I've only told a couple people. But,
tell the audience.
you, you can do it and not tell anybody if you think it's weird, but because it is fun. So basically what I did is it was a full moon. I want to say around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. When it was like looking really cool,
And that thing was huge, the moon.
It really was. So I put on some tribal music and I danced until I felt like I couldn't dance anymore, like till I felt like my calves were going to fall off. And I was going at it. So this is about an hour in.
I already like this for just exercise purposes, for sweating.
Oh yeah, I probably burnt so many calories. and I was like, I was really, really into it. So I'm in my room, got my sage burning, and I'm dancing to tribal music. And at about an hour, I was like, okay, I can't take any more. And I did feel like I had shaken off whatever was hindering me from feeling that message from the moon, whatever keeps me from letting go to let things, be born there. And so I felt like I had shaken that off, and I felt like I was ready to move on to the next part of what I call a full moon ceremony. Other people call it the same thing. So what I did then is I got a long, skinny candle. You want it to be long and skinny because of this next part. I got a long
but skinny.
Yeah, at least skinny.
Maybe just a birthday candle this time. Next time.
Yeah. So what I did is I carved in my intention. You could do just one word, like calm, peace, abundance, whatever you want. Carve in your intention, one word, and then light the top or light the bottom a little bit so that the wax is burning, and stick it down so that it stands up. And then you light the candle and you just sit and you pray around that intention until the candle burns, and stare into the fire the whole time. That's Native American culture believes that when you stare into the fire, you're letting that light in. It's like a light channeling. So or a light ceremony. So stare into that flame the whole time. And this is perfect for right before bed because it makes you tired. So you stare into the flame and you just pray until it freaking burns. And I thought that was going to be like 30 minutes. No, it was a really long time. So that's why I say get a long skinny candle. But
birthday candle, I'm telling you, that's the way to go.
And I did pray, but for half of that, I chanted to Kali, which Kali is a goddess. She is considered very dramatic because she's the slayer of ego, but she's the most transformative. She lets death touch things so that new things can come. So I paired it, with that theme of the moon. So Kali was who I felt called by, and so I chanted Om Kreem Kali Kaliye Namaha. Must have been 500 freaking times, but I chanted that, and it was really, really powerful. But what's crazy is this was on Tuesday, and Saturday at my plant medicine ceremony, when I went up to my shaman, she did not know, and she chanted that mantra over me.
Wow.
And I mean, think of all the mantras that could be chanted, and she chanted that over me because she saw Kali there with me. And she also didn't know that I had a little image of Kali in my pocket.
Wow.
I know.
And I know that your intention for that ceremony, that full moon ceremony, was to bring some abundance into your life. And I wonder
to transition out of a mindset of lack.
Yes, a scarcity mindset. I wondered that the candle burning so slowly, if that had anything to do with the lesson, because you've also, you've asked for patience before in the past, and that's the thing you're working through. So I wonder if there's something.
I wondered that too. Well, when my shaman chanted it over me, I became the wax, and it was not comfortable at all. It was not comfortable. But I became the wax. I felt like a bundle of wax. I was burning hot. I was sweaty, and my bones were all jumbled up into wax. So my spine was hurting. It was very painful, but all transformation is. So she chanted that over me, and slowly the wax stood up, and I became what I always become, which is fox.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Wow.
So if you want to stop with just researching what the moon means and let it be an invitation to ask yourself where you're at with that message, go ahead. But if you want to dance and chant to a candle, it's really fun.
Buddy. Why not? Send us a video of it.
Tag us.
We will for sure repost that shit.
What about you? What's yours?
So I was going to say, speaking of the moon, my magic trick comes from a previous guest on our show, Miss Maddie Moon, who is episode number 23, which is one of my favorites. So after this is over,
it's funny we both chose moon themes.
I know.
Which also, I know we're 70% water, which is like, it's silly to think that the moon doesn't affect us when we know it affects the waves of the ocean, you know?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like, it affects our moods. There's more like drunk driving and homicides and all that stuff on a full moon. People act a little bit crazier during the full moon. Your
trick because because we're jumping back and forth, but I'll jump in on that. So how did you end it? You said if you want to do this thing.
Oh, I thought it was fine the way it was, but you just do what you want to do now.
Well, because
just act like I just stopped, and then I'll say, what's your magic?
Yeah. I'm going to say
act like I just said, tag us in the video. Go ahead.
Take from here. So yeah, and also on the whole idea of the moon being such a powerful force in our lives, we all know the moon's gravity controls tides, right? So just the fact that our human bodies are made up of something like 70% of water has to mean something. It has to mean something. Plus, we call like our menstrual cycle moon cycle because it's been something since ancient times that we feel is controlled by the ebbing and flowing of the moon. So, I don't know, Jade, there's a lot in there with that whole full moon ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah. So what do you have for magic?
So, and speaking of the moon, my magic trick comes from a previous guest of ours, Miss Maddie Moon, who was episode number 23. It's one of my favorites. So if you guys want to go download that one after this is over, you won't regret it. So the trick I have is, it's really more of a confidence hack than anything else. And it's to become aware of saying things like, if that makes sense, unconsciously, like at the end of your sentences, if that makes sense. So that's something I know I do way, way, way too often. And now that we have this podcast, it's even more obvious to me. There's a spotlight on everything that we say unconsciously, basically, because we got to listen back to it a million times in editing. So I know a lot of people probably have this same type of unconscious behavior. We use phrases even like the word like and actually, as I'm doing in the sentence while trying to tell you about this.
I say like too much.
So
they're thinking words.
Yeah, thinking words. And also the thing is, when we use a phrase like this, we're telling ourselves that at the level of our psyche to feel insecure about what we're saying. And that if you really think about it, it's true. We're quite literally voicing outwardly that our inner voice may not make sense. And that's a hindrance to us after time, after doing that over and over and over again. So Maddie explains that another way to look at this is like how someone might make fun of themselves or be self-deprecating in order to beat others to the punch of doing that to them, right? Essentially hindering yourself from allowing your words to stand on their own. So the important piece to understand here is that although this may be something many of us do unconsciously, our bodies don't know the difference. And so when it begins to embody this belief that we're saying something that may not make sense, or what we're, thinks that what we're saying doesn't make sense, it bleeds into our posture, it bleeds into our voice, into our own sense of worthiness even, and it dilutes our power and effectiveness that our words could potentially hold. So my reminder to you today is to attempt to make yourself conscious of when you're using words that detract from what you're trying to say, and instead reclaim the fact that you can communicate clearly and powerfully, if that makes sense.
It does.
So thank you for that affirmation.
All right, Magic Lovers, thank you so much for tuning in and taking this journey with us. If this episode held some magic for you, please share it with your friends and family. This really, really, really means a lot to us, you guys. And also don't forget to join us on our Instagram page at The Magic Hour and let us know what your favorite episodes have been. We appreciate all of your feedback and we really want to know what is lighting you up.
Yes, and don't forget, we release a new episode every Monday. So you can catch us again next week or go listen to some of our past episodes in your podcast library now. We'll meet you there. Until then, be a
Be a
light.
light. Big thank you to @RayTone_Royal for our intro jam and to John Aaron Garza from Real in Motion Productions for producing the show. Stay magical, friends.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm going to say that one sentence. What was it? The drumming?
It was about the fire walk.
Okay. So let me just say, yeah, I was actually talking to a girlfriend about this earlier, and I'm curious because so many people hear fire walk and they think of, I don't know, it can sound so weird to people. And I'm curious what you do. Is it like you set an intention and then you do the fire walk and it kind of like burns away at that, or what exactly happens at these fire walks?
I'm also going to just do the first paragraph of the intro because I had my voice crackling. And just in case it sounded bad, I don't know if it did or not. Greetings, magic mobbers. Welcome, boys and babes. It's the Magic Hour, a place where we navigate through life's peaks and valleys with all the vulnerability and shamelessness we can muster. With the help of world-class guests from all walks of life, we uncover new truths and valuable tools for manifesting our highest potential. I'm your host, Mercedes Terrell, along with my partner in shine, Jade Bryce.
All right. I really like that this is right now with all the, extra talk that we had with her. It's